Good morning, all. Good morning, respected sir and my dear friends. As a part of SCTC Silver Jubilee student webinar series on environmental biotechnology, I am here to take a webinar on the topic conservation of River Pamba. The River Pamba, it is the third longest among Kerala's 44 rivers. Around 30 lakh people in the districts of Alappuzha, Pathanamthitta and Idukki are dependent on this river for their daily use. The most famous Christian convention in Asia, the Maramon Convention, and the biggest Hindu convention in Kerala, the Cherukolpura Hindu Mata Parishad, are held on the sandbeds of the River Pamba. The historic famous Aranmula Uttratadi Vallamkali, the snake boat festival unique to Kerala, is also held on the river Pamba. This river that greatly influences the lives of the people in the economic, social, and spiritual spheres is now steadily dying. Originating in the Western Ghats at a height of 1650 meters at Shabari Hills, Pamba flows along a distance of 176 kilometers through the districts Idukki, Pathanamthitta, and Alappuzha and joins the Vembanad Lake. The river is a conglomerate of various streams, rivulets, and other water channels. Then, coming to the great history behind the river Pamba, the river Pamba holds a holy status because of its historic relation with the holy shrine of Lord Ayappa. The Shabarimala temple has over the years grown into a major pilgrimage destination in India. It is believed that Lord Ayappa appeared to the Pandalam Raja as a child on the banks of the Pamba river. The Pamba river has been considered as Ganga of Kerala, and devotees of Lord Ayappa believes that immersing oneself in Pamba is equivalent to bathing in the holy Ganga river. Bathing in the river believed to absolve one's sins. So this is the great history behind the river Pamba. Then discussing about the geography of Pamba, like all the river basins in Kerala, the Pamba basin can be divided into three zones: the Western Ghat River Basin, the Midland River Basin, and the Kuttanad River Basin. A total of 36 Grama Panchayat are covered by this river basin. So the first one, it is the Western Ghat River Basin. The river portion in the Western Ghat region generally possesses steep canyons and countless small streams. The streams in the Western Ghat region are the main water sources of Pamba River. The Western Ghat region is gifted with a dense forest and variety of flora and fauna. The major tributaries of Pamba in this region are Kakkad, Kallar, Aruda, etc. The river sustains plantation, horticulture, and agricultural crops in the region and also used for hydroelectric power generation. Here we can see this is the Shabarigiri hydroelectric power station located in the Western Ghat River Basin. Then coming to the Midland River Basin, these are dominated with rubber and coconut mixed crops. A major portion is under mixed agriculture or horticulture plantations. The riparian vegetations in the Midland ranges are comparatively thick. Now the Kuttanad River Basin or the lowland region. The Pamba River empties into the southernmost part of the Vembanad Lake after merging with the Manimala and Achankovil rivers at different locations. Pamba it had a major role in the complex ecosystem of Vembanad and Kuttanad tract. Generally, the lowland have a subwit topography with patches of both sand and mud deposits, and they are subjected to the saline water intrusions. So now let's see what are the real problems faced by Pamba, the factors that cause to the degradation of the biodiversity of river Pamba. The first and the most poses threat is the loss of biodiversity. Most of the aquatic organisms experience multiple threats such as habitat removal, damage by several anthropogenic influences, invasive species, altered sediment load, unscientific sand mining and increased pollution, etc. In Pamba, a variety of destructive fishing practices are done, such as the dynamiting, electric fishing, use of fine fish net, and fish poisoning. And this have led to the mass mortality of fishes, fish eggs, and larvae, resulting in the decline of fish population. The introduction of the exotic species replaced the endemic species. The changed land use pattern has reduced the riparian zone and associated species diversity in the Vembanad Lake region. The changed ecology, it is believed to have led to the loss of about 23 species of fishes, preventing the migration of about 13 other species, decline of 33% of the bird population, and it brought in new predatory birds like the nirkoli and increased population of the reptiles. All these are the rewards that human race given to this natural system. Another major problem, it is the reduction in riparian vegetation. The riparian vegetation provides stabilization to the river banks, providing shade, large woody debris to increase fish habitat. But extensive deforestation and disappearance of the riparian vegetation in highland and midland areas of the river results in increased soil erosion. They also face threat from factors like the encroachment for agriculture and development, grazing and invasion of beasts, etc. Next, it is the introduction of invasive species. The alien invasive species, they are the major threat to the biodiversity conservation. Non-native fish are introduced around the world mainly for improving fisheries, sports, ornamental fish trade, and for the biocontrol of mosquitoes. Introduced fish frequently alter the aquatic ecology by changing water quality and also cause the extinction of native fish by predation and the resource competition. The Indian major carps. In the leftmost corner, we can see this is the Indian major carp species. The Indian major carps are introduced into the Pamba, Manimala, and Meenachil rivers. They pose potential threat to the indigenous species. Other major problem, it is the unscientific and uncontrolled sand mining. The river channels in the midlands and lowlands of Pamba, they are deteriorated drastically due to illegal scooping of sand, even from the prohibited areas close to the river, banks, bridges, and reservoirs, etc. In some of the cases, the riverbank and the floodplain areas are scooped out first for tile or brick manufacturing and then for the construction grade sand. The process ends up in the destruction of the riparian vegetation, which provides the habitat to many organisms. Destruction of the flora and fauna diversity, destruction in the terrestrial insects like the mayfly, dragonfly, stonefly, etc., whose larval stages are in the shallow water. Then reduction in the fishery resources are the results of the uncontrolled sand mining. Next one, it is the encroachment and reclamation. Lower stretches of the floodplain, it is affected by encroachment and reclamation of the area for agronomic purposes, which has led to drastic reduction in water storage area, loss of habitat for flora and fauna, fishes and birds, and also caused eutrophication. One of the major threats faced by Pamba is its pollution. Indiscriminate disposal of the large quantities of solid and liquid waste and inadequacy in waste treatment facility during festival season and discharge of wastewater from the municipalities middle and lower reaches of Pamba, they cause deterioration of the water quality and destruction of the species diversity. Agricultural runoff containing fertilizers and pesticides pollute the aquatic ecosystem severely and they affect the food chain through bioaccumulation and the biomagnification processes. We all know Shabarimala. It is one of the most popular pilgrim countries in the South India. Millions of pilgrims visit the shrine, especially during the winter season, that is starting in the mid November and ending in the mid January. The temple attracts pilgrims not only from the southern states of India but also from other parts of the Kaveri and abroad. Other parts of the country and abroad. The gathering of very large crowds over a short period of time every year into this area has given rise to various environmental problems. A survey conducted by the Central Pollution Control Board in collaboration with Kerala State Pollution Control Board revealed that solid waste and sewage generated at Pamba during the festival season cause severe pollution of the Pamba River. The lack of the sanitary latrines, sewage collection facilities and treatment, waste discharge from the hotels are the major sources for the pollution of the Pamba River. Another major threat faced by the river it is its water usage. As a river, approximately 50% of the river water is utilized for irrigation. 10 to 25% is for domestic purpose, then 30 to 35% for power generation, and 10 to 15 for commercial uses. Around 30 lakh people in the districts of Alappuzha, Pathanamthitta, and Idukki, with an average population density of about 736 per square kilometer in the river basin, depend on River Pamba for their daily use. This leads to strong demand and competition for natural resources, especially water for domestic use and irrigation. Then another major problem, it is soil erosion due to deforestation. When the ground surface is stripped of vegetation, the upper soils are more vulnerable to both wind and water erosion. Soil it is washed into rivers when it rains. rains, and then out to sea. This destroys the ability for the land to regenerate because it has lost its topsoil. Shrinkage of forest in the upper catchment area affects the biodiversity and the hydrological regime of the basin. Then the last problem, it is the invasive weeds. The presence of Cabomba, a fast-growing submerged aquatic weed species along the Aranmula stretch of Pamba is important. In the leftmost corner, we can see this is the Cabomba species. It grows in stagnant, slow-flowing water bodies and regenerates fast and provides a threat to the river ecosystem. The Cabomba, with its extremely dense strands, obstructs the free flow of water and results in increased silting of river. This weed contains high degree of chemicals which influence the growth and survival of other species. The major factor which promotes the growth of this weed is the high nutrient content of water due to the presence of the sewage, agrochemicals, and land washouts. Then there are alien invasive species like water hyacinth, which is densely spreading in all upper regions of the water body, canals, and drains, contributing to the further population of water, preventing the water navigation, depletion of dissolved oxygen, interfering in the entry of sunlight into water, and thereby reducing the productivity of the rivers. Now let's see a study conducted on the water quality dynamics and sustainability evaluation of the Pamba River. The study it is conducted to determine the variation in the physicochemical water quality parameters such as the temperature, pH, transparency, hardness, salinity, ammonia, carbon dioxide, dissolved oxygen, biological oxygen demand or BOD, and the chemical oxygen demand or COD of the Pamba River. As a part of the investigation, 4 stations were selected for the study for the assessment of water quality of areas such as Koranjeri, Aranmula, Chengannur, and Mannar. These regions were facing threat due to high anthropogenic activities. Water samples were collected during the year 2016 to 70 from the study area, and physiochemical parameters were analyzed with respect to seasons following standard methods. So the first station under consideration is Koranjeri. Koranjeri, it is a census town in Pathanamthitta district or central Travancore. The place it is situated on the banks of river Pamba. The Pamba river bank on Koranjeri side has waste heaped on it, with the waste dumping going on steady from the nearby market. Then the second station under consideration is Aranmula. Aranmula, it is a small village in Pathanamthitta district. Aranmula Uttratadi boat race, it is conducted on the Pamba river on Uttratadi day as a part of the religious festival. Fertile wetlands, rich biodiversity, and a soothing climate. It makes Aranmula an apex model for the eco-friendly culture of Kerala. Then the station 3, it is Chengannur. Chengannur, it is a developing municipal town in the Alappuzha district located on the banks of the Pamba. Small amount of municipal waste including cattle waste, domestic waste, plastic bottles, and many household waste were openly being dumped into the river. Then the station 4, it is Mannar. Mannar, it is a small business town located in the banks of the river Pamba. Mannar is well known for bronze industry as well as other metals. The river Pamba and Achankovil are joining together at this place and flow as the name Pamba. People depend on the source of river for various activities. The sources of pollution were waste discarded by the people, industrial waste, bathing and washing waste, etc. So, when considering the temperature of the samples collected from the 4 stations, the temperature showed a maximum range of 29 degrees Celsius and temperature showed a minimum range of 29 degrees Celsius and exhibited a maximum range of 32.1 degrees Celsius. All these stations showed average temperature from 29.1 degrees Celsius to 31.7 degrees Celsius. There were also a slight variation in temperature. A high range of temperature in pre-monsoon season was observed in station 3 and a low range shown in 4. In monsoon period, temperature ranged from 30 to 31.5 degrees Celsius. In post-monsoon, it was 29 to 29.5 degrees Celsius. When considering the pH range was acidic in nature in all stations in all seasons. From the study, in pre-monsoon season, the pH ranged from 5.8 to 6.2. A higher level of pH observed in station 1 and lower level in 3. In monsoon season, lower pH in station 3 and higher level in station 4. So the pH of the sample in post-monsoon season ranged from 5.9 to 6.1. The average range of pH in all these seasons ranged from 6 to 6.01. Then considering about the transparency of the water samples, transparency showed variation in all the seasons. Maximum transparency value was noticed about 24.5 centimeter in station 1 of post-monsoon season. The minimum range was 11 centimeter in station 3 of pre-monsoon season. The average range of transparency was 16.3 to 21.1 centimeter. Then the other results obtained were the salinity, dissolved oxygen, biological oxygen demand, and chemical oxygen demand follows these trends. So the conclusions drawn from the studies is that there is a pronounced variation of most of the water quality parameters with variation in season. The temperature range was high in pre-monsoon period and minimum during the post-monsoon season. In fact, temperature has an important role in determining the physical, chemical, and biological properties of the water. The water quality may depend on the changes in temperature. All living organisms have an optimum temperature for their better survival. Water temperature controls the rate of all chemical reactions, and this will affect the fish growth, reproduction, and immunity. Then second is regarding the pH of the water. In the studies, monsoon and post-monsoon season showed similar range of pH. We all know pH is one of the physical properties of water. A slight variation in pH can change the acidity or basicity of the water. According to the WHO, the normal pH range of the water it should be between 6.2 and 8.5. In the present study, all stations shows acidic nature. Acidic pH will affect the photosynthetic activity and most metals it will become soluble in acidic pH which negatively affects the health of the organisms. Then the third inference that we obtain from the study is that moderately high levels of transparency were observed in post-monsoon period. So explaining on this, transparency it is the measurement of light penetration in the water body. Due to the presence of suspended solids like silts, clay, industrial waste, sewage will cause the transparency in water. Light penetration into the bottom of water surface will be prevented by the transparent conditions of water, which will affect the benthic organisms and the primary productivity. Then explaining on the hardness of water, water hardness is the capacity of water to precipitate the soap. Presence of sulfates and chlorides of calcium and magnesium may cause hardness in water. Maximum range of hardness was observed in station 2, that is about 22 mg per liter during the pre-monsoon season and minimum during monsoon season. Then salinity. Salinity it determines salt concentration in the water. Maximum range of salinity in station 2 indicated the presence of metal salts in the river. Then the important parameter analyzed was the dissolved oxygen content. For indicating water quality and organic pollution, dissolved oxygen is an important parameter. Large fish population depends the minimum amount of DO. DO level below 3 mg per liter leads to the death of fishes and affects reproduction and spawning. The present study indicates that pre-monsoon season showed high pollution. Household waste are the main source causing this pollution. Then the BOD, biological oxygen demand. It is an indicator of the organic pollution in the water and also that affects the availability of the dissolved oxygen and pH values. So from the results obtained, we can conclude that water pollution is mainly caused due to alterations in physical, chemical and biological characteristics of the ecosystem. We can see that the study areas are polluted because of the high amount of waste accumulation. Polluted conditions will equally affect both the human beings as well as other living organisms. It will cause harmful effects on our environment. This study helped us to remind the need for conservation of water bodies. So it is necessary to take efforts to address the issues related to the sustainability of Pamba River. So now let's see a sustainable and potential approach that can be done to reduce the pollution problems in Pamba. It mainly includes the process of phytoremediation. We all know phytoremediation, it is a technology that uses living plants to clean up soil, air and water contaminated with the hazardous contaminants. Phytoremediation is proposed as a cost-effective, plant-based approach of environment. remediation that takes advantage of the ability of plants to concentrate elements and compounds from the environment and to detoxify the various compounds. The effects of the volume of the deadly pollutants will intensify and transform the Pamba River into a hotspot of pollution over the upcoming years for sure. The hazardous pollutions in Pamba invited attention of researchers across the country, and the research papers highlighted its volume of contamination. Unfortunately, no natural remedy was suggested for this burning issue. Conventional methods of water purification are uneconomic and disrupt the structure and fertility of the soil. So, a study was conducted for treating the wastewater of Pamba River during the pilgrimage season using vetiver cisanioids. It makes use of the technologies like phytoremediation and hydroponics for the treatment of process. Vetiver cisanioid, it is a versatile plant capable of growing in different conditions. It can be effectively used for the remediation of pollutants from the contaminated water. So the method of the experiment was very simple. The water samples were collected from two selected stations of Pamba River. The station one was the region where the devotees wash their body, and one of the major problems encountered in this station was the production of large volumes of the highly colored wastewater. The station 2, it was a place near to Shabarimala temple where pilgrims use water for their sanitary purposes. So the pilot studies have been carried out in the laboratory using containers of 10-liter capacity to carry out the experiment. A preliminary trial was conducted over 6 months. The clumps of vetiver cisanioids were grown in wastewater collected from station 1 and 2 with floating island technique in containers supported by thermocol. Each container has one clump and their axis was kept submerged in the wastewater and allowed to grow for about 6 months. The pots they were placed on a level concrete platform which was not shaded throughout the day to ensure good shoot growth. All the pots received the same amount of sunlight and heat during the trial. So during the growth of vetiver cisanioids, small aliquots of water samples from each container was drawn after every 2 months, and the chemical and biological parameters were measured by the standard procedure. The ultraviolet visible spectral analysis and inductively coupled plasma atomic emission spectroscopy analysis of water sample collected from the station 1 confirmed the presence of the high load synthetic dye and heavy metals, that is the lead and mercury presence in it. Microbiological analysis of water samples collected from the station 2 confirmed the contamination of coliform bacteria. So in this slide, the figure 1, it shows the variation of mercury after planting the vetiver cisanioids. Mercury settles down and remains in the sediment, and hence it is considered as most dangerous pollutant. Before planting VZ, the amount of mercury in station 1 was 2.5 milligram per liter during the pilgrimage season. The permissible limit of mercury in drinking water is 0.002 milligram per liter. After planting the vetiver cisanioids, the mercury level decreases for every 2 months as shown by the figure 1. After 4 months of planting, 100% reduction of mercury level was found compared to that in the control pot. Then the figure 2, it represents the variation of lead by planting the vetiver cisanioids. Initially, the concentration of lead in station 1 was 1.03 milligram per liter. The permissible limit of lead in water, it is about 0.015 milligram per liter. So after planting VZ, there was a reduction in the concentration of lead in every 2 months, which is evident from the figure 2. 100% reduction of lead was found after 4 months of planting compared to that in the control pot. Then the figure 3, it represents the UV visible spectral analysis of dye content after 2 months, 4 months and 6 months of planting the vetiver cisanioids. Then the figure 4, it is the variation of most portable number of coliform after planting the vetiver cisanioid. About 100% removal of most probable number of coliform from wastewater was observed by planting VZ for about 6 months. In the controlled sample, which was kept idle for 6 months, there has been a steady increase of coliform bacteria. This may be due to the favorable condition for the growth of the coliform bacteria in the stagnant water. Then the figure 5, it represents the growth performance of vetiver cisanioids, root and shoots in the wastewater. The A represents at starting period, the B figure at the shoot after 6 months, and the C figure represents the root after 6 months. Okay, now I'll show you a video on the treatment of wastewater using this vetiver cicinoids, and the results obtained was most satisfactory and acceptable. Okay, so the conclusions that we obtained from the study is that the phytoremediation efficiency of VZ was evaluated by planting it in wastewater of Pamba River by a floating platform technique in the lab. It has been shown that vetiver ciciniode is highly capable of reducing coliform bacterial counts by 100% for 6 months of planting. Mercury and lead in station 1 was found to be decreased by 100% by planting VZ for 4 months. From the UV visible spectral analysis, a reduction in dye removal was also observed by planting VZ for 6 months in the wastewater. The ability of VZ to absorb harmful heavy metals, bacteria, and dye should be of great concern to all because fresh water and effective sanitation they are basic necessities of all human beings. The fact that VZ reduces disease causing bacteria should be a reason enough to consider it as a solution for the environmental remediation of pollution. In addition, no harm can be caused by testing it in the environment, as greater harm is occurring by doing nothing. So, to sum up my talk, I would say when we look at our nature, we can always find it being polluted, and mankind always has had a hand in it, be it through our unsolicited waste management practices or through our questionable conservation approach. Our conservation strategies begin only after destroying the resources to 100%. So, if we can take a stand now, we might not have to face these issues in the coming times. Thank you.